Stream connecting, rolling a joint. That's pretty funny, and it's very true.
It all happens.
The stream is connecting, and I'm rolling a joint.
Truth in advertising.
Well, we've gone to air 2 minutes late. I apologize to all the people with attention deficit syndrome. Like things fucking like right on time kind of thing. But I was running late.
Were you running 2 minutes late?
Easily 2 minutes late.
Oh, well, that's where they went. All right, everyone knows now. That's where those two went.
Because I just willingly stopped to smoke a joint with Alyssa in the hallway.
For those of you playing the home game, you're going to want to check off the smoke a joint with Boss Alyssa box.
She gets another reefer. No, it's just way too much fun in this building, I gotta say. Having
supposed to do, right?
Worked in and around here for all these years, how much fun it is where you just are smoking a joint while you're doing anything that you do. Anything. We just had a 420 meeting, which again was just filled with joint smoking. Everybody pretty much rolls a joint of their own weed, and some get passed around. But it's always quite a vibrant smoke session during the whole thing, and so casual. It's not like like it's just a thing with us. So a very encouraging meeting it was. It's just too much fun, I gotta say.
I think it probably would make the authorities even more upset if they knew how casually and how much fun all their useless ire would just it would bubble over, knowing how much laughter was had planning things out.
Well, we don't try to be too irreverent, but we don't have a lot of desire or need to, care too much about what they have to say and come at it from our own point of view, which is a strong commitment to ending the drug war and helping people on this planet that are being oppressed because of their choice for cannabis. Pretty much. So, we're, I don't know. It's kind of a big deal. I don't know, 420, it's grown. As I've been doing 420, it's kind of like taking LSD in the woods. Right? Really. You don't quite know how stoned you are until you come out of the woods. And it's because it happens gradually, is my point. And for us, it has happened quite gradually over the years. It started pretty small here in Vancouver at the art gallery, and there wasn't much going on. We would gather, and people had joints, and it was very, very under wraps. If anybody was selling weed, you pretty much had to know somebody, and and there was lots of police. There was not as many people, lots of police.
And they weren't selling nearly as much weed.
No, the police didn't sell any weed that year. But as it grew, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger until the point where there was more people than police. So one might feel a little more comfortable inside that crowd
by one
selling and or buying cannabis. Right? So the selling and buying of it began like that. It was a numbers game more than anything. And as the crowds grew, the bravery increased. People were then willing to maybe hold up a sign selling their wares, letting people know they were there. And, you know, the arrests really stopped. There was just so many more people than there were police. The police really didn't care too much.
I think that's probably the key, because I think that's true of all cities. I think there's more people than police, so if everyone just does everything they want to do together,
yeah,
that's about
over
it.
and over. Well, there was certainly many occasions at the art gallery where there was no police in attendance, really. They would send 4 bicycle cops who would, one on Howe or Hornby or whatever the name of the street is there, and the other on Granville Street, and that was it. Until the crowds became so large that then we needed to close one of those streets to accommodate us. And on the first occasion, we were standing there, and the city guys pulled up with a pickup truck, and they had the barriers to block the street off, and they dropped them in front of us and said, "Here,
you do it.
You know what to do with these. You know where you want them." Right?
Well, all right then.
You go, okay, then.
They've also dropped off handcuffs and police uniforms and said, "Here, you guys police yourselves."
Oh, I don't know. Safety in numbers, but from then on, it pretty much has grown to people would then, after carrying signs around, others would then bring a table one time, and they'd set up a table, and you go, and everybody look at them and go, "Wow, was it ever a good idea to have a table?" So more people brought tables, and then some brought a tent, and on it went, right? So, but as that grew, so grew the potential for entertainment, and a stage and sound was necessary, and all of this other stuff to kind of keep it going. So that's, we stepped in a long time ago to accommodate that. We would help raise the money that it would take to put on a stage and have good sound and musicians and so forth.
Which I say is enormously helpful, just even in general. Like, even if you're just browsing 420, it's nice to have the sound of things go on. It's nice to have a central place. It's really quite helpful.
And it is our stage and our sound and our message. The message has been the same since when we were even just a small band in front on the steps of the art gallery. We had a megaphone, and that was it, to a small crowd that got bigger and bigger and bigger. Until we find ourselves today at a spot where the crowd is now potentially so big that it has become this fucking... we've grown into this massive protest.
You're going to need a bigger megaphone.
Yeah, we're going to need a bigger megaphone.
Yeah, I think there was 160,000 people was the global estimate of the crowd turnover for the day.
Well, that would be people passing through for the day, I suppose. I don't know how many would be there at any one given moment, but tens of thousands.
At least.
50 anyway, probably.
Easily,
but there was probably 42,000 people. I lost count. It's just about 35,000.
I was doing each one individually. 29,999.
Yeah.
30. Huh? What? Oh.
Well, they start moving and shit, and then David throws joints at them, and they fucking dive. And
can't keep control of it all.
But it's just a pleasure to be involved in that. And, as we've grown into this slowly, we've been able to learn how to do it. It's somewhat of a casual affair now, how we pull it together. We all have our roles pretty much, and we just do what we do. And it all happens like magic. For me, anyway, that's the best part. So, God knows what's going to happen this year. The potential for spectacular shit is always in the air. But we will be expanding a little bit to the world by offering some sort of VIP packages that you can purchase to come and join us backstage, on stage, around stage. Get all sorts of cool swag from all sorts of fun vendors. Some of the packages will include all the smokables you probably need for a few days. But there's all the details are yet to be written while stoned. So maybe they have, but I don't think it's been officially announced.
No, Jared
as to when you can purchase these things or how. But it's going to be a fucking blast. I really like that idea. I don't know. Lots of places do it.
I think it's a great idea, but I would say even if you had such stage access, don't sleep on the rest of the event by any means. You'd be foolish to spend your entire time back there and miss.
Oh no, you'd want to go out there. I quite frankly have never been out into the crowd. Well, I get there and people just start firing questions at me. So
firing questions and firing joints. It's like, all right, well.
And well, I do walk out into the early morning setup when people are just arriving and stuff not going on yet, and just say hello to everybody. But beyond that, I don't get a chance to get off the stage really to get back there. And the crowd becomes so thick that it'd be very difficult to get back if you went out there. But way fun. This is going to be momentous. I feel some electricity in the air around it. It feels like people noticed us last year.
Well, I think it was... I don't think you could not.
And that a lot more people are planning to come for this year. And combine that with its 420 of 2020. It's going to be big. And we're trying to make it so. So we'll see what happens.
Joins crossed.
Yeah. Yeah, Jody was telling me her and Jeremiah and Dana went down to meet with all the officials from the city. 13 fucking different departments show up at this big giant round table they have. I would like to go to those things, but
No.
I just get up in anger and leave halfway through. They don't like the questions I have for them. One time I said, so, what are you actually saying, worst case scenario? What are you talking about here? You know, well, they kept saying that, worst case scenario, we need blah, blah, blah. And you go, what is that worst case scenario?
Godzilla.
The sun explodes? It's gotta be it. That's worst case scenario, isn't it? What else is there? I don't give a fuck if any other star explodes, but if mine, we're done.
Or maybe an implosion of some sort.
Even that. So they never come at it based on their years of experience with us, and with this festival, protest-ival.
I like demonstration. Because to me it is like an active demo of what it should look like.
Yeah, and we're going to demonstrate this year. That's the plan, is to fucking ramp it up. You want protest? We're taking 420 on a march back to the art gallery. It's a retro 420. And we're going to fucking take over the city for the whole day. Here's something I heard about. I didn't realize, actually, and I'd like to get a hold of some audio of this occurrence. Last year at 420, the transit announcements included if you're trying to get to 420 at Sunset Beach,
I would, if anybody has that audio, I would love it. Someone told me they were playing it on the SkyTrain. I did not get a chance to hear it. I would love to open or close or use that segment of audio somewhere.
Jody said that somebody had sent her perhaps audio and some recorded phone thing of it, but I haven't heard it myself. But I thought, wow, that's fucking... Who does that? We have transit announcements on our behalf of an illegal festival.
Yeah,
And that's what amazed Jody too at this meeting. She said, here we have all of every member of every city department, for fuck's sakes, doing their best to accommodate our scenario here with no permit, no permission.
a lot of closet pot smokers, I assume.
So it's a very unique position we find ourselves in, and I'm grateful to be anywhere near it, quite frankly. And it's a very unique thing here. 420 festivals go on around the world, and the celebration of that day is everywhere. But here, this is very unique. I'm going to venture, because it does not happen like this anywhere else. This is fucking hundreds of people selling weed is the difference.
Yeah, also the joint toss. Even people who say, like, oh, they've got things in Los Angeles and Washington and Seattle. I'm like, when did they throw 10.5 pounds of joints into a crowd? Show me that, because I've got video footage of that, but I've never seen it anywhere else.
Now we had pretty good discussion about the joint toss today and how we can improve it. It's a massive thing and quite an undertaking, and one too that has grown organically from the earliest of days, where it was kind of easy to throw joints to the crowd, to getting 20 or 30,000 people to sit down and we're going to come pass you joints and don't mob us and crush the people out there that are throwing the joints to you. So we're learning, right, how to do stuff even better, and taking precautions and having some fun with it along the way. So we will continue to throw 5,000 more joints out at 420, which is an astounding thing to me as well. So,
especially with all the scare talk of it, like, you would think at least one in those 5,000 would be the deadly joint, would be the one, but it never doesn't ever seem to be.
I've never heard a complaint.
Yeah, never a complaint. Never a complaint. This free joint I got didn't get me high enough as the 1,000 people surrounding me also smoked a joint. We all got massively high. Yeah.
So it's quite a nice mix of the big time and our grassroots efforts combining. Right?
Grass
like
is good.
when I arrived at 420 last year in the morning, and I walked up from behind the stage, I went, oh my God, like, it looked like the big time. I went, oh my God, this is a fucking big concert here that we are pulling and throwing together today.
There was a clip of the Cypress Hills drummer when he saw the crowd right as they stepped, getting ready to prep, and he looked out and was like, whoa.
Oh yeah, it got some cred because of Cypress Hill for sure. They were quite enamored and impressed with the whole thing, and it went off flawlessly, really. Like, it does. They can't imagine what went on the rest of the day, but for their intents and purposes, it was pretty fucking cool. So we didn't get to hang out. I was kind of busy. And, we learned some stuff, too, because they were big, high-profile musicians that had all sorts of fucking needs and desires and waivers and such. And we'd never really dealt with that before. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, they needed all sorts of security to be able to get them from the tent backstage to on stage without anybody touching them.
Certainly not before the show.
I said, well, what if they want to come over and touch me? Maybe they want to, right? Don't
fair.
be fucking putting up barriers between people. We didn't do that all day. These are no different. Come on, they're just people. We're not some unruly mob back here. But it all worked out good. And they fucking rocked the house, and the people loved it. Smoked so much weed. And tons more now, you know. So people heard about that pretty much. I don't know, Joe Rogan is going to be in town. He's doing a concert that very night in Vancouver. Can't imagine why he would not want to fucking hang around with us all day. First. So, I got a feeling he's going to be around. Like, why wouldn't you be? What are you going to fly in like 10 minutes before your show and do the show and then fly out again? You're going to get back to Vegas or wherever you live.
Yeah, no, it would surprise me if he didn't poke his head in. It would be very, very surprising.
That'd be very good for him, and everybody included. So you never know. You just don't know what's going to happen. But fun stuff, I gotta say. Well, I don't have a joint going, so let me do that. The shrapnel left of Congolese in this little jar. And some other unusual things. So lots of stuff in the cannabis world, for sure, always. They're all laying off employees now.
Because you know it's their fault, right? It's the guy that they hired to do a bit of trimming, or the guy that they hired to separate jars. It must be his fault that no one likes Tilray's weed. Like, how rude. How rude.
It's pretty silly, actually, because the Tilray announced they were laying off 10% of their fucking workforce.
It's always 10%. I've noticed the last number of cannabis layoffs have always been 10%. As if that's a number they just decide, well, what if we just took 10% off this margin, this line here for labor, 10% of that, done and done.
Well, then their investors say, yep, that's good enough. We can sell them that. But no, I don't get it either, really. The CEO of Tilray said the reason they were doing it was to increase their profitability. Profitability. Yeah. And you go, well, like, how cold. Oh, yes, we've let you go so that we can make more money. Huh.
I think what they meant was, I think 10% of their former staff is going to start growing weed. How is that going to help your profitability?
Well, I don't know how much they're paying these people, but holy cow. No, these LPs, the big ones, they were just had such a huge influx of money so fast that these people weren't savvy enough to know what to do with it, and squandered it in an attempt to raise more capital. Just continue to raise more capital, so they just kept buying everything in sight at hugely inflated prices, I might add. They bought Tokyo Smoke for $250 million.
Well, that's got to be worth it, though. Everyone knows Tokyo Smoke. Isn't that the hottest thing in cannabis right now?
Well, you could do the math and figure out how the 6 fucking stores that they bought, how long it would take to repay $250 million.
Well, let's break it down. So $250 million, 6 stores. What are you charging for a gram? $10? Ah, this is no problem. You can sell
Totally
some
insane.
pipes and stuff too.
So now the They just kept selling stock based on potential, increasing their potential. We have this potential. And now when it comes down to fucking buddies saying, hey, where's the weed? They're going, got none. Can't do it. Not doing it very good.
That's when the texts stop.
People don't want to buy it. Overwhelmingly, it would seem. They track it every 20 minutes. Stats Canada does another fucking press release of what it's 44% now. It's 44%. Still buying their weed in the black market. But they don't, the new industry in Health Canada just didn't do it very well. They didn't do it from the point of view of the people who actually will buy the weed. They go, oh, we're not getting enough tax. We're not getting the kind of tax that we thought we were going to get. It was one of the stories. And you go, well, you haven't fucking earned it, have you? I guess. So, like, how fucking sad is that concept anyway? They want to steal the weed from the black market, and now they're whining that they're not any good at it, and they're not getting the tax that they want. Fuck you and your tax.
I have a theory that all the Health Canada numbers are wrong, and that the LPs have actually overtaken the black market, and this is what they've got. These are the customers they have. These are the people who actually stomach the cannabis that they're growing, because that'll roughly be it for a while.
Well,
even if it gets quote-unquote better, but no one will demand it if they're going to smoke it now, so they're not ever going to ask for it to be better. So
they'll always have the percentage of the market they have now.
That's it. They've got it.
That's all they've earned.
And it's going to get more expensive every year because you're going to keep trying to expand it, but I don't think...
Well, except for the enforcement part, where they're still relying on the cops and the new formed community safety units to get rid of their competition, which they won't. Their competition really is not the dispensary, it's the producer.
Even the producer, though, given the choice between the two, I wouldn't choose the LP version. And I suppose the thinking is, well, if the black market guy doesn't exist, you'll have to go to the LP. But that's just fundamentally.
Well, no, they're not going after. They're not going after the producers. They're going after these storefronts, and then they're going to go after online stores. Still never putting a dent in the producer. I'll still go there. Why wouldn't I? See, the only market that they've gained with their legal industry is the newbies and people who have absolutely no other choice. That's all I could see. And that's sad. That to have an industry, like, I wish people would stop fucking going on and on about BC Bud and the reputation of BC Bud. Fuck off. And particularly this woman from fucking Surrey. Can't remember her name. She's an ex-fucking city councillor from Surrey who started this company and is now out there stomping around yapping about how we got to get the craft cannabis world together and...
But there are a lot of growers in BC, right? There's a big cannabis culture in BC. Like, so is the idea of BC Bud that it's just, you know, those people? They're just calling it BC Bud? Is that the...
Well, no. I'm pretty sure. I don't know the origins of the term. I attempted to find out. I'll bet Mark would know. I didn't ask him yet, but people didn't call it BC Bud really until Mark came along.
No, that's the first time I remember hearing the phrase. I remember specifically he was doing an interview and he was smoking a bong during the interview, and they wouldn't show him smoke the bong, but he offered the cameraman and the the journalist, would you like some of this fine BC bud? When he said it, and I remember as a kid seeing that and thinking, "Oh, I don't know if it was just the alliteration or what."
We would have to take a look at some of the media. No, there's no denying that weed was being grown here in British Columbia for many years, outdoor, and to some extent indoor, before Mark came along. But I don't believe that they had ramped it up to such an industry to become internationally known from having smuggled so much of it to the States. Outdoor BC weed here is not smugglable to the States. Really, like they can grow it themselves. Like availability is another issue. Weed like that could sell in New York City, though. Outdoor weed from here, because they ain't got nothing else to choose from, and that's what it comes down to. But I don't know. In 1994 is when Mark started selling seeds here, and by virtue of that, that provided a huge influx of genetics put into the hands of many people who wanted to grow but had no genetics. Now they did, and a lot of people started growing weed. And with the work done here and with Marc Emery Direct Seeds, that was phenomenal boon to the potential of having way more cannabis to smuggle into the world.
Yeah, like
that was really, really good compared to anything they'd ever seen.
Yeah, so a lot of people start growing more, but there's still definitely a lot of people in BC, or at least I've smoked a lot of cannabis that was local that I thought was pretty exceptional. So I don't know if that's true everywhere, but I certainly didn't have
the potential,
that same level of cannabis in other places.
Well, the potential of getting it is greater here because more people grow, right? So you go to Ontario. Traditionally, over the years, not very many people were growing weed, so you didn't see too much. So it had to do, but this was the heartbeat of it here in Vancouver with Mark. He he started selling seeds in 1994. He was also then interviewed by the Wall Street Journal. It was on the front page of the Wall Street Journal that year for doing what he was doing. And the following year, in 95, a young fellow from here went to Amsterdam, smuggled weed from here to there, and entered it in the cannabis cup.
And you said he did, excuse me, and he had named it BC Bud, yes?
And he called it BC Bud. So I don't know if Mark coined the phrase or the Wall Street Journal coined the phrase, because that's how Mark became known as the Prince of Pot. CNN coined the phrase. They called him the Prince of Pot. Never had the words been uttered prior to that. And from then on, he's known as the self-proclaimed Prince of Pot, when in fact it was CNN who proclaimed. That was fun times with those people all slipping around. So much press. They're everywhere, and they'd love to see us smoking joints, so we used to set them up.
I remember seeing that even when I was a kid, before I'd ever smoked cannabis. I always thought that was an interesting thing, because you could see the person doing the thing you weren't supposed to do. It was like the direct. I'm like, wait a minute, he's telling me. Like, I remember seeing Mark with a brick of hash, and I didn't even know what hash was, but I knew it was illegal, and I knew he didn't care and was holding a brick of it, and I didn't understand. But it was like, that's an interesting idea, a brick. Yeah. It's a brick. It sounds real tactile. I didn't have any idea, just press plants. But it was fascinating to me. I was like, wow, and this guy doesn't care at all. What is going on?
That's the way we've operated.
That was it for me.
Oh yeah, to befuddle it befuddles authority the way that we operate. They don't know what to do. We're so casual about what we do and always have been, and think it's so normal and come at it from that point of view. They don't really have any way to, fucking dig at you. Like, but you go, like, we go, well, we can't believe that.
Like you could easily be prepping a little homemade tea bag and you're gonna dunk over and over and just, that Greg, that till you mean tea man? Oh, he had tea seeds at one time.
But when they deal with this, they see that it's not the way they thought, right? And in our casual approach, it's I don't know, it's befuddled many people that I've been confronted with in my lifetime. But
I think there's just a lot of befuddlement.
Well, there is, right? And all this other bullshit. I worked as a bartender for a very long time, and I didn't drink alcohol. I smoked weed the whole way through it, every fucking day. Right? And one night, after work, we would get off work fucking 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever. It was summertime, whatever. We wanted to smoke a joint, but it was raining, so we stepped inside the shed where they usually would allow us to keep our bicycles. And smoked our joint, and then said goodnight, went home. I got home, realized that I'd left my cigarette package with my joints and my lighter there. Very distinct lighter, hand painted by me. A Zippo. And
what did you paint on it?
Peace sign.
Good choice.
But, at any rate, I arrived to work the next day, and I'm beckoned to the manager's office. And he said, did you forget something here last night? I said, oh yeah. I said, my smokes and my lighter. And he said, yeah, I got them here. And I said, oh great, you found them. And he said, anything. He gave me my lighter back. Not the smokes. He said, anything else? I said, there was a couple of joints in there too. I said, I'm not too sure. I think we might have smoked them, but maybe there was a joint or something. Well, in fact, there was marijuana, right? You're not to be smoking marijuana in that shed. And I'm going, well, it was raining. You're like, where else are we going to smoke? We didn't know what to do with this response, right?
Where were you guys smoking the cigarettes?
Well, yeah, we smoked cigarettes in there.
Oh, well, then what is the...
No, it's just this fucking insanity around cannabis. People should not have the choice. I'm putting a ban on people who know nothing about cannabis and have never had any experience with it opening their mouths. I've heard enough from people who don't know anything about it. Starting now.
So then what's the first thing to know about cannabis? People don't know anything. What's the first thing? Should they even be calling it that? You could enter cannabis, whatever you want to call it, fresh into someone's mind.
Well, if you've never heard of it before, you would come at it looking at it like it was produce, wouldn't you? It's a plant that we grow and harvest a portion of and use to our satisfaction. No different than a cauliflower or an apple or a grape. Is it? Coffee? I don't know. It's no different. Really? It's just a plant. If you think about it in those terms, it's nothing. Really, it's just a fucking stupid little
You don't need
plant.
to set your kids aside. You don't need a community meeting about it. You don't need...
You can plant plants in your backyard that'll kill you if you eat them. And some of them look pretty fucking good.
Oh, some of them look great.
Blank castor beans in your yard.
I don't even know what a castor bean is.
You know, they make one of the deadliest poisons of all time from castor beans, and you'll get really fucking sick if you eat them.
And I can have as many as I want?
With no warning.
What's the city zoning on it? Do I
None.
have to write a letter to the government if I want to do something in my own backyard? Is there
No.
a piece of paperwork I have to fill out?
Nothing.
What about the doctor? Do I have to call the doctor?
Yeah, only if you want to use a really deadly poison medicinally. Then you'll need a doctor, and he's got lots more if you run out of the castor beans. But, of course, cannabis is not looked at like it's a plant. It's become this whole other thing, unfortunately, mired in and caused by prohibition. Single-handedly has fucking ruined the reputation of cannabis. Right?
No, but Greg, it makes you dizzy, maybe.
But it's worked.
What if you end up high?
Many people today, including yourself, have not known anything but cannabis prohibition until recently.
Yeah, only.
And all of the misinformation that comes along with that. It works. In that many years that they've been spewing this shit out, that works. And that's what people believe. And because you believe that it's somehow dangerous, well, a lot of opportunities arise how to ward off the danger. And now that becomes a little industry. Oh, that's worth money, right? Looking at cannabis like the plant that it is not worth any money. Right? It's just not. And it's just infuriating from a consumer's point of view. And hey, I'm a cannabis consumer. Now, with the other day, a headline that Health Canada has now licensed more square footage of grow potential outdoor, more footage outdoor than they are licensing indoor in Canada. They got like 19 million square meters of fucking grow potential outdoor in Canada licensed now, and like 13 million indoor. And you go, wow, these people have not a fucking clue about this plant, or the industry, or the consumer, or, I guess, the black market. They don't know fucking anything. Who in their right mind... Canada's a horrible place to grow weed outdoor, and nobody fucking wants it. It's only, again, because of prohibition that it even exists. The only gram that was ever sold of outdoor grown weed in Canada was because of prohibition, not because of fucking cannabis. It's because you had no choice. Outdoor weed grown in Canada is better than nothing kush, I think is what we could call it. Oh, it's Girl Scout better than nothing. And unfortunately, prohibition gone on so long, and the choice was so few that people have, I suppose, say, oh, I like it. But not compared to indoor weed.
I mean, I've
Not compared to indoor weed.
I've had tasty outdoor strains. I can't say that all outdoor cannabis.
Well, that didn't... Taste isn't the whole ball of wax here.
Yeah, I've had nice cannabis that was outdoor cannabis that I was told was outdoor cannabis. It's not the cannabis I prefer.
No,
If I have to
it's
pick
not.
out of the- if
It's
I-
at the fucking bottom of the barrel in terms of what people actually would like to have.
Well, he's not here anyway.
Why aren't people scrambling to the top here in the new industry instead of being encouraged to grow the worst possible fucking cannabis that they can for me? How are you going to lure me into your fucking fold with outdoor weed?
You're not excited?
Come
You're not
on.
excited?
By none of it. No.
They didn't what? You don't walk by there and you rub your mitts together and you think, oh, here are those big juicy buds, a weed store. They don't like beckon you in. You walk in there.
Canada.
Everybody knows your name, obviously, because you walk in there.
No, they've only.
And they don't.
It was just in their frenzy as they were fucking raping everything they could find in the black market about cannabis that they took this idea that they should grow it outdoor here. What? Who said you should do that? Oh, black market said I should do that. Right? Well, you shouldn't take everything. And you took the wrong thing. Because this is not a good place to grow cannabis. You don't grow excellent cannabis outdoor in Canada. I don't give a fuck. If I have a choice between it and the very same strain grown indoor, I will take the indoor, thanks. And we've done that traditionally at any cost. Right? These outdoor clowns, and they have an article, and they go and talk to a guy who's got a license to grow outdoor weed in Canada, license from Health Canada, and they go and talk to him only. And now he's like trying to figure out ways to make you think that this is going to be okay weed. And the guy, I can't remember the guy's name, he fucking Wildlife or some fucking collective, got outdoor license, and he said, he really said that we expect to be growing, what the fuck, low commodity? Is that the word he used? Like he didn't, I can't remember now.
I don't know the phrase, but yeah,
And
I like the idea of being able to buy pounds of outdoor Canadian cannabis for like
For what?
$15.
Yeah, well, you'll never smoke it.
Well, you
In
can
time.
cook with it. You can do all kinds of things. Maybe you like the taste of it. Maybe you want to make oils. But yeah, I think that would be great. I certainly wouldn't buy it by the gram, though.
It makes shitty hash. It makes shitty oil.
You know, everyone has their own taste. You know, everyone has their
No,
own
they
taste.
shouldn't. Well, they go ahead, have your
People shouldn't
taste.
have their own tastes.
But Health Canada has now licensed people to grow more weed outdoor than indoor. What the fuck is that? That's insane. That's not how the black market was. All the fucking outdoor weed that was grown, the massive amounts of outdoor weed that's grown here were smuggled to the United States, folks. We weren't buying it.
Well, that's the thing. And maybe they're hoping to sell it elsewhere.
The local fucking
not elsewhere.
locals will be buying it because it's dirt cheap and maybe people don't care. But people who like cannabis aren't going to buy that. And nor will these people actually even sell it to them. I don't think. Because they can't. It's a joke. Costs you about $70 a pound to produce it outdoor. Well, everything included. How much is that a gram? What? That won't ever be reflected in a price coming out of the fucking legal industry. Ever, ever, ever. You know what they're going to do with all this crap? Here's, like, they just don't fucking get it. They haven't even looked at where cannabis comes from. They think it came from fucking Humboldt.
There's some
guess.
nice cannabis from Humboldt County.
Yeah,
I've had
it's
nice
still not as
outdoor
good as indoor or any of it. We don't have the right conditions. How about that? It's not my fault. Go ask Mother Nature, for fuck's sakes. And it's only because of prohibition that this has gone on so long, and us in our little bubble of trying to understand cannabis have developed all these ideals and ideas of what cannabis is. And we're wrong a lot of the time here. And now as we approach into a legal scenario, we're just dragging all these wrong concepts with us into the legal world. It's fucking nonsense. A friend of mine brought over a jar of legal cannabis to my house. Yeah. But, like, it was just so fucking, you go, I don't get a lot of this shit. It was great white shark. And what, it had a THC content of 6% and a CBD content of 12%. With other numbers, had those two numbers, and then under each of those numbers was another set of percentage numbers. And under the THC one, it said 0.04%. And, I don't know, under the CBD one, it said 0.12%. You go, like, with no explanation as to what these numbers referred to whatsoever. Neither set. They didn't make any mention of what this fucking means to anybody.
What is the serving size on cannabis?
Roll
Wait,
another
do they
one.
have to print the serving sizes on the legal edibles? Like, what about your general nutritional serving sizes?
I've never looked at a legal edible.
It's a bit of an
But
aside. So anyway, so there's this
In
bond. It's got all the
addition,
numbers.
in addition, this fucking thing said it was great white shark. You go, well, great white shark isn't fucking 6% THC and 12% CBD. It's a high THC, very low CBD strain. Wonder what's going on here. Meaningless numbers. But they don't change the name of it. How the fuck did you get this one to be these numbers from Great White Shark? What? And without having to change the name of it, you didn't cross it with something that you're not telling us that you've done here? We still care about this kind of shit. Why didn't you call it Great White Shark CBD? Why didn't you call it that? But you didn't. You misled me into thinking, and then right beside the name it said sativa. And there's so little sativa in Great White Shark.
What is great white shark? What is I've seen it.
A whole bunch of
before.
Afghanis and skunk. And white widow. Somewhere. Brazilian crossed with another indica. Brazilian. I've never heard a good weed from Brazil ever. But
Really? I've never been to
if
Brazil,
it is
but I
in
imagine
fact,
the climate would
it would be a
be
sativa.
favorable.
And they somehow extrapolate from all those genetics, which are mostly indica, that it's a sativa. So you could probably sue them based on that claim. You could probably sue them based on the claim that it was Great White Shark, because it was not. It was fucking... It didn't have the same profile. What? And... I don't know. You could just abuse them to get them to fucking try to explain those numbers that they put on the side of the box.
Well, that helped you make your choice, then, didn't it?
Well,
That
what
put your
the fuck
mind
does
at ease.
0.04% under the
Oh,
THC
that's a
percentage mean?
15.
Stupid shit. It's very infuriating. But, I don't know. So, yeah, Tilray lays off these people. Sundial lays off a bunch of people. Sundial, they were the people that got caught, what, making the fake room? Was that them? Or they
I don't know
got
if that
caught
was
with just a
Sundial, although
truckload
X's
of
also
weed,
had some issues.
growing more weed illegally, something.
Press.
Right?
Yeah,
They
so
didn't,
many.
but they're still in business, these people. Now, like, they didn't lose their license, or,
Well,
Health
they don't have to
Canada's.
risk going to jail or anything. That's the
No,
thing
there was
that
no
you
police
do. You just have
investigation
to
into
pay
any of
enough
their.
money up front, and just no
Not
jail
charged
fee.
with
You can hire
possession.
people, you run your payroll. You have all this.
If you and I were
You
just
buy
growing
your
the
spec.
amount, if you and I were just growing the amount that they got caught with, we would certainly be charged with producing illegal cannabis for the purpose of trafficking, and all these other charges, which they did not for some reason. They're somehow outside of the law. Because they have a license to produce cannabis, they're outside the laws that govern the regulations around cannabis. How the fuck does that happen? It's not a bad gig, right? Oh no, fucking take these 10 tons of weed that we want you to sell, Canopy.
Oops.
And you take these and nobody will know. Even if you get caught, nobody gives a shit.
Well, it would make the front page of the financial news, right? Man grows 100 plants. Isn't that it? Rocked the markets. Isn't that the big tale?
Tweed got caught, them and some other companies shipping weed out of Kelowna.
Oh yeah, a number of companies.
1,500 pounds of weed. The report on it merely...
Hockey bags is what I read.
The report merely mentioned that it was came from several providers, the weed. That was it. That was all. And you go, wow, like really? How many people have that much weed in Kelowna to get what? But no further mention of who those people might be or anything. You go, wow, that's kind of not the same treatment as if it was you and me. They would have pictures and names of all of the people involved.
They just look at the paperwork. They say,
where'd you get it?
You know,
where this weed?
The RCMP, just you get a letter or something. That's about it, right? That would be it. They didn't take everyone in the company and strip search them and stick them in a box.
So you got to figure everybody can see this kind of treatment. So it'd be pretty cool to break every law you can think of with these legal producers and license holders, because no one is going to do anything about it. You won't even lose your license or pay a fine or nothing.
Well, you might get another letter from Health Canada saying a letter is coming.
Oh no, we fired our CEO.
Oh,
they go, okay,
the new guy's all right.
Carry on. And we could say the same. Oh, we fired the guy that we were fucking dealing with. And they go, you're still going to jail. Really?
What will your investors then think, Greg?
Yes, what's your potential? Yes, here on the stock market.
But it's dangerous, though, Greg. You need that in place to keep people safe, right? The safety, the impairment, the high, the kids. No one could survive smoking pot. I don't even know why anyone tries.
Well, no, but it's the propaganda that we're so up against through so many people's heads. It's not like everybody, even upon legalization here, everybody is being given a choice here. They're having, every application has to have public involvement to see if they're okay with you being in this industry and selling this substance. I'm not too sure you need to get letters of approval for any other fucking business in the world, from the neighbors of your shop or general public on whether or not there should be a shop. What the fuck kind of witch hunt bullshit is this? And for some fucking pinhead to come in there and blabbermouth about their particular fears, unfounded, unsubstantiated, in front of the rest of the crowd, and idiot counselors who need to make a decision. Oh my God. So they all will err on the side of the accepted ideal that we need to be protected from cannabis, and that they would be then in every right to totally ban it, as which they do, because they're chicken shits. And so it's very difficult here in these legalization days to get some respect. Everybody and anybody can come down on cannabis and try to restrict it in their lives. MyTrucking.com wonders there's 14 ways how legalization of cannabis can be looked at from a trucking point of view.
Well,
you go, how does this affect us?
Well, there are some effects. Actually, I was reading about a small place in Canada where the preferred or almost only accessible mail route has to cross a U.S. bridge, and so the town or Canada Post has asked licensed producers to stop selling to this place because the mail trucks keep getting stopped. So there you go. That's one. So we just need to come up with how many was this list?
Oh no, there's a long list how it affected truckers.
Man.
From every point of view they could think of
It's
about
good
how
for
the
business.
impairment and the driving and the blah and the fucking same bullshit, stigma and prohibition, reefer madness
Wouldn't that
that
be
we've
great,
always
though?
put up with.
Just, having a truck. How the trucking industry gets to move a few more trucks and someone doesn't have to do a bad job taking apart some rental car.
If you're impaired, you're fucking impaired.
So
Figure out some
crazy.
impairment test for cannabis. Just figure one out. This is the whole problem with this driving bullshit. You don't have an impairment test.
You're too high.
So it's not like booze. Cannabis is not like booze. You can't treat it like that at the side of the road. And you will never win in court should you try. There's no way. So isn't that the important thing, if in fact, is the level of impairment behind the wheel, for fuck's sakes? I don't care what you're impaired from. I don't care at all. Doesn't matter to me. Don't be impaired. How about that? How about being ready? And paying attention. More than that, I don't know.
There's so many.
Don't hit me,
impairments.
don't hit my stuff. Eh? And if you do, what if you're not impaired? Well, what's the fucking difference to me? I don't give a fuck. Really? People are getting hitting out
Well, you
each other
can't-
in cars all day long that aren't impaired.
So that aren't impaired.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
One
I,
of the largest percentage of accidents occur because of people who aren't
how
impaired.
many accidents? Yeah, purely unimpaired people. And yeah, that's why you can't be impaired because unimpaired people they drive terribly. That's why you can't be prepared.
There should be a stupidity test. That's what you need. There's people who are not good drivers. There's thousands of them out there. It's not that they're not good drivers, they're just not paying attention to the environment around them so much. Really. But anyway. So I got to figure, if you're going to make any plans to do anything for 420, this is going to be epic.
Yeah, I would say.
Well, it doesn't really matter. We have a lot of fun on our own. We're hoping that some other folks can come and join us this time. And until the next time I see you, hope you're smoking all good weed. Thanks a lot for showing up in the chat. Saw Donna McKenzie in there earlier. Nice to see your text. Hope you're doing good. And watch all the shows here on PotTV. There's something going on every other day. Every day and then another day off and then something. You know that schedule.
It's all there. It's all there.
Still,
And
it's
there's
all
more
there.
stuff. Even if you didn't watch something that week, there's I Hear,
Yeah.
20 years.
Even stuff you don't want.
I share stuff that I
Plenty
don't
of-
think I'll like, but I
plenty
think
of
someone
that,
else
yeah.
will. So yeah. And you know how easy it is just
I
to
can't,
scroll that thing out of your way. Oh
it-
man.
I can't
Plenty more.
vouch for it all.
But if you want your cannabis to be better, I would say maybe
Get
clicking
better
and reading.
cannabis.
Don't
Get
scroll
better
through too much
cannabis.
because there's a lot of gold. I think so.
Yeah.
I've certainly seen much.
Right on. Well, enjoy your lives, and I hope you have good weed. Thanks to Anil for keeping us online all the time. And come on down to the Cannabis Culture headquarters here and do some shopping. They got a cool thing going on where right outside here in the outer office of PotTV is the store.
Pop-up shop.
Pop-up shop.
Everything
Just
you
like
need.
that.
Good
Urban
selection.
Shaman's
Yep.
still open too in a new location for short time only. Second floor,
Yeah.
back of High Score. You gotta go through High Score to get to the Shaman.
And you should just stop at High Score anyway. I think if you walk through if you don't stop to,
You might as well play some pinball.
yeah, I mean, there's a game that will catch your eye on the way in. I bet. I bet that one machine has like 10,000 games.
So, until the next time, thanks for tuning in. I'm Marijuana Man. Peace. And pod.